Yeah, so today we're going to muck out a chicken shed, I think. Christ, it's sunny. No matter where I go, you can't see me. Yeah, one of our sheds is desperate to be mucked out. Digger home, well, Dan brought the digger home yesterday, so dropped the post knocker off. He's just going to bring it out now. We're going to put this quick hitch back on, which is on that bucket. Put my big bucket back on. Oh, that's better. I just realised I had a load of dust stuck on my camera lens under my screen protector. It's still blurry. Yeah, so I was saying we're going to muck out one of our hen sheds today, hopefully, because the muck's right up coming through the floor. So as I've said, I've just come up here to see where we're going to tip this muck, but this midden's a right mess really. I could do with spending a bit of time up here just with the digger, just scraping it all up and having a tidy up, but don't know whether we're going to have time today. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to be. I've been tipping muck here for years and it's just ended up in a mess. 2 or 3 years ago, I dug a drain, because right down in the bottom of in the lowest part of that field on the corner of that chicken run, there is a big main drain that goes right down to the, where I was saying, to the underneath the road. But so I dug a trench from down there right up, and it goes right underneath this muck. And the idea was, originally I was going to use it to take the roof water off this new shed that we built a couple of years ago, and it was going to go down there into that drain. But we kept as little fall on it as we could, but I think maybe we should have done it a bit better, because I only sort of did it with a spirit level. But by the time we got up to here, it was near enough out of the ground, so we never ended up joining it up. At the moment that water just runs off. I mean, it may find the drain eventually, but it's not actually connected up. But yeah, anyway, we've got this pile of rubble here that I'm desperate to get tidied up. It come off a job we did a few years ago, and I've been meaning to sort of maybe smash it up or hire or borrow a big metal track digger to level it off, and I've just not got around to it. And I'm starting to wonder whether I should maybe just have a go at it with our digger and just try and lay it all out like a jigsaw, and just cover the top of it over with some finer crushed brick or something, and give ourselves a bit more of a yard to park machinery or maybe stack bales on. In the future, I'd quite like to have it concreted and have that where I store my muck, and just re-establish all this back into a grazing field. But anyway, that's an idea of what sort of little projects I've got going on now. It's probably going to be an all-winter project, fanning around with a digger, and because I took a load of, there was fencing here that I took down to when I dug that area out, and so all summer the calves are constantly getting out and getting into the garden. That gateway wants fixing, and yeah, there's just, it all just wants tidying up, and it's just, yeah, hopefully it's going to happen this winter. So anyway, in the meantime, could do with tidying this muck up a bit, get this chicken shed mucked out. See how Dan's getting on. He's gone to fuel the digger up and just put some grease around it. Oh, it looks as though he's heading off down to the hens, so looks like we're going to go and do that first, and then we might have a bit of a tidy up here later. These cows want scraping out again. We've had a couple of dry days now, so I may even go and see if I can get a couple of loads of muck out, because there's a couple of loads of muck. I know it doesn't look like there's much there, but by the time you've had a skim over it with a digger, there's a couple of loads of muck there that we're getting rid of. Because I just did it roughly with the loader when I was, when I was spreading last. So they want a bale of straw. Yeah, there's always something to do. It's just trying to decide what to pick first, isn't it? I'm going to take this JCB down because we'll use this. Yeah, well, I'll use this to tow the chicken shed. And I'll show you the process of moving and mucking out one of our polytunnel chicken sheds. So yeah, so to move the chicken shed, you've got to disconnect the auger pipe from the feed bin, obviously your water pipe and your electrics for the lights. You can run an extension lead to keep, if you want to keep the lights on, because we're going to be moving it with the hens in, but there's plenty of daylight. I don't think it's going to upset them. So we've just laid a load of these timbers out in the direction that we're going to tow the shed. They're just just skids really, bits of timber that I normally just paint a bit of oil on them, so the shed slides nicely, easier. I find if you don't oil them, the bits of timber tend to just roll over, or it drags them out of the way, and then it falls off them onto the stone, and then it's not as important for mucking out, but when you're moving the shed off the concrete to wash it when it's empty, you want it sat off the ground so that you can pressure wash your skids easier, because if it's sat on the soil, if you try and wash close to the ground, it just plasters you in soil, sprays soil everywhere. But also I like to think that if it's running on oiled skids, it's preserving the steel, the bottom of the steel, like, giving it all a coating of oil to stop it going rusty. So this is the hitch. We have to put these metal bars on, which just fasten to each end, which basically allows you to tow without crumpling up the polytunnel, because it is only a polytunnel. There's no, there's just hoops. There's no real structure to it, so the steel bar keeps the skids both apart, so you can pull. And because obviously there's hens in here, we've got these mesh sheets which I'll carry in now, push all the hens up onto the slatted area, just so that none of them get squashed, so that they can't get squashed while we're moving the shed. And then there's a flap in there that's buried in muck that I'll have to dig out. That's why I brought my spade. Dig the flap out and lift the flap up, so that it's out, so it doesn't get caught in the muck as we drag it. It's a right ball ache. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend going into polytunnel poultry. It's just yeah. So there we are, it's moved, and what we can see up here is what's the muck out. And we've got a chicken go out. So the places where there's always the most muck is here, which is where the hens tend to always sit at night. So the nest boxes end about there. And then there's an area of flatted area here, which is just open area, and that's where they all tend to sit at night, which is where your muck builds up. And obviously, because it's in the middle of your shed, it gets the most traffic. That stuff there is really dry, nice stuff, which is their scratch area. So yeah, sometimes it can be really sloppy in the middle under where the water drinkers go, but this actually doesn't look too bad, so we'll see what it's like when we dig it out. One thing I've never been able to figure out is why we seem to get wet, a lot of water in our muck. I think it's because it's not a leaky drinker issue, and in this shed it's definitely not a height issue with the drinkers, because the drinkers are really high in this shed. If you ever see the hens drinking, they're reaching right up. So it's certainly not that's the problem. I think, speaking to people and speaking to feed reps and things, I think it's more than likely a lack of forced ventilation. In a lot of these big commercial sheds, they've got fans running through them all the time. This shed particularly doesn't. We've never really had to put a fan in this shed. The other two sheds, the one that's, where is it? Over there, which is our newest shed, which is the last one we washed out, is in the sunlight all day, and it gets sort of point, it's very dusty. You know, these are wanted doing for a couple of weeks really, and it's quite stuffy in there when you go in. It's not a nice environment. It'll make the world a difference to get all this muck out of the way and get some fresh air back in there. So right down to back now, I'll fill him up. Done. Dan's just fixing the auger now, putting the auger back in. I've just been and crawled underneath. On every crossbar, on every hoop of the polytunnel, there's a crossbar which holds the which is, you know, the frame for the floor. And then in the middle of every frame there's like a foot to stop it sagging, takes the weight of the slats. And when you drag, and the foot can swing obviously, so that you can drag your shed. But when we drag it back, all the feet are sat like that because the bars have got sag in them. So you have to crawl underneath it. Well, I've just crawled underneath it now with underneath the slats with a jack and a piece of wood, and just jack up each cross piece so that the leg stands up straight. Anyway, I'm sure you don't really care, but that's just one of the last jobs you got to do. So yeah, it takes all afternoon really, 2 people. You get three or 4 little trailer loads of muck, and that's from like 7 or 8 months of